For time beyond memory, people have experienced at first hand physical, visual, and auditory events which could not be explained, and so it was feared. Today, we call this the paranormal. Our podcast will delve into this world of the unknown. So sit back and join Tina, Jake, Chris, Bridget, and Bill and journey into the darkness with us. Welcome to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast.
Hey, so welcome to the second episode of our podcast. So myself, Tina, Billy, Chris and Jake are here, and this week we are going to follow on from Loftus Hall and we're going to speak about the Hellfire Club up the Dublin Mountains. And I think the best person to start us off would be Chris. Sorry about that, Billy. So Chris is going to give us some of the history of the Hellfire Club first.
Who is Billy?
I don't know. I'm not sure myself, to be honest.
Showing up.
Yeah, keep showing up. How's doing, guys? Welcome to the second episode. As Tina said there, we're just going to be looking a little bit into the brief history, a couple of little bullet points of the Hellfire Club. So the Hellfire Club itself was originally founded in London in the 18th century by Philip Wharton. It was actually in 1718 to be precise about it, but we're going to concentrate on the structure up on Montpelier Hill, which is known as the infamous Hellfire Club. So that structure up there was built in 1725 by William Connolly, originally as a hunting lodge. One of the lures of the story goes, of that location goes, that was actually built using some of the stones of the passage grave or the passage tomb up on the hill, and shortly thereafter a storm struck the area and it wiped a part of the building out, and obviously the lore said this was a form of payback for using some of those stones. The Hellfire Club themselves, the stories go that they weren't the most friendliest of people. They say that they practiced a cult up there, black masses, debauchery. There was demonic manifestations. They had a black cat as a mascot, and during these ceremonies they used to leave an empty seat at the table for the devil, so he could make himself at home. Lastly, what I'd like to just highlight, they used to toast or have a drink that was a mixture of whiskey and hot butter that was known as scaltine. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Maybe Jake, you want to know, because you like to drink whiskey a lot.
Is that right, Jake?
No. But yeah, so as I said, there's a brief little history there of the Hellfire Club. It was said to be active between 1735 to 1741 up there approximately. We'll get into the fires and all that kind of stuff a little bit later on, but that's it.
That's brilliant.
That was really interesting.
I'm amazed at you with your history, Chris.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
You really do. You do look into it a lot. But you do love it. Jake loves the history as well.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely,
Jake? Yeah. You like your history as well. The history of it is so interesting. It's very similar to last week's actually discussion, or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Loftus Hall.
Loftus Hall.
Yeah.
And there's also a similar story with the devil, isn't there, Chris?
There is, actually.
Jake,
very good point, actually, that you brought that up. So there is 3 locations in Ireland that have a very, very similar story in regards to that. We will be talking about another location in hopefully the third episode, but for this episode, they say that the devil did actually visit this building on a stormy night, and it obviously appeared as a stranger. The Hellfire Club, the individuals at the time, welcomed him into the building, and of course they were playing cards. One of the cards fell onto the ground, and when an individual went to pick this card
pair
up,
of stilettos. Or was it your toenails again?
Can't get over that.
We can't. We'll never get rid of that thing.
Oh Jesus, yeah. The stiletto. But yeah, so apparently went to pick the card up, and when they looked across underneath the table, there was a cloven hoof again, and the individual in question disappeared. Didn't go up through the roof.
Okay.
I didn't find any story. Maybe I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't find a story when it went up through the roof, but disappeared into a ball of flame.
Yeah, it'd be quite hard to go through that roof.
Tell you one thing. You won't have a hard head.
The one thing that I've noticed about the Hellfire Club is that it's a solid. Considering how old it is, it's solid. It's stone. The roof is stone as well.
It's about 2 foot deep walls.
Yeah, like it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that has stood. That's not like any builders nowadays.
No.
I mean, that's done well.
Yeah.
So you'd have to visualize that when you go up, I mean, it's around, 15-minute trek up, straight
Well,
up.
if I
or-
take us up, it could be a lot longer.
It could be an hour and a half,
It could be an hour and
maybe
a
2
half.
hours.
I got us lost in the forest one night.
That was
Do you
fun.
like the
It was
view
like-
as well, Billy?
I loved the view,
Oh,
but
We
it was
have to
like the
get
Blair
onto
Ridge
this.
project when we
Yeah.
went up. Do you remember that night?
Yeah.
Kept coming back to the same place in the lashings of rain.
Lashings of rain. And then there was Chris stopping halfway, looking at the view.
Oh, Chris's viewpoint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I've-
we've got all that.
Yeah.
But let's say it's around a 15 or a 20-minute trek up. And then for people who haven't been up there, you're looking over Dublin city.
Yeah.
So you've got this huge view. It's absolutely gorgeous. But so when you are standing looking at the Hellfire, you walk in, there's a room to the left. So it's like a little porch. Then there's a room to the left, a room to the right. And then the stairs are in front of you. But there's a room at the back of those stairs, which they say, I don't know how true it is, but they say that was opened up a few years ago, and that there was a cult.
Okay.
Do you remember that there
I
was
heard something about
artifacts
it, yeah.
found
Oh,
in
I
that,
know we
like
had
black
discussed it.
magic, and so there was things that were found in that room, and that room is meant to be. A lot of people feel sick. A lot of people get, they get that feeling in their head or in their stomach in that particular room. But then you go up the stairs, and there's only one room to the left, one room to the right, and one room at the back. So that's just letting you know it is small. It is a hunting lodge.
And there are 3 huge big windows, isn't it?
Three huge,
And
yeah.
it's
in front.
fantastic. The
Oh, it's
panoramic
stunning.
view.
Yeah, no, it's stunning. And then there's the woods behind it and all around it.
Yeah.
So that's just for people who haven't been, giving them a little
and we've
bit
had
of
a few incidents in the woods.
We've had a few incidences.
incidences in the woods, haven't we? Like as
Yeah.
a team, a couple of things have happened.
Well, that woods, I remember another investigator telling us about those woods, to have a look more into the woods. So, remember we went looking around in the woods. Now, this is going to sound silly, but there's one part of the woods, I wouldn't be able to find it now if I went.
Yeah.
But if I had a good look, I'd probably come across it like I did the first time. But it's like you step from one part of the wood right into another. So the trees have grown in a shape of a doorway. And I'm not exaggerating. I have taken pictures. I'll have to root them out. And when you step from one side of this doorway of trees into the other, even the grass grows different. Now, the day I found that, you were with me, Billy.
Yeah, we were with you. There was a couple of
Couple of
guys
us,
with us.
yeah.
That's gone back 5 or 6 years. So that's gone back
Or
a long
even
time.
more,
Yeah, it
yeah.
could be more actually.
I seen you took a picture of that, didn't you?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
we have, yeah.
No, we
Yeah.
do. We have pictures.
Because I
on
could
the
hear Tina
page.
calling, and she was like 2 miles away because we were back in the car.
As you do.
As you do, I think we were actually standing at Chris's viewpoint. We'll tell you about that later on in the podcast.
No, we won't.
Yeah, maybe we will. It's integral to the story. No, but all joking aside, I think there was 2 other guys with us, but Tina called us over. We were in another part of the woods, not too far away, and we couldn't believe it. It was like everything was darker and it wasn't as colourful.
It's hard
It was
to
like,
explain.
yeah, everything was kind of like, I wouldn't say dead in it, but it was like one part was spring and the other part was autumn.
Yeah, that's the way it is. That's
Wasn't it?
actually how you describe
Yeah.
it. That's
It was
perfect.
like everything had turned kind of brown.
And I know it would still be there now unless they've pulled it down, like all the trees on the way up.
They've pulled trees down.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
So all the woods as you're going up towards the Hellfire, all those, the walkway up, they're all gone.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
swear to God.
I haven't been there in a while.
I was about
guys.
to ask, when was the last time you were there, Billy?
Oh God, it's
A
a
long
long
time.
time ago.
Yeah, and there was, I want Tina and yourself to tell this story, but I just want to introduce it. There was an occasion up there when you said you'd never go back.
Yeah, that was a weird. I think that might have been the night that we actually got lost as well, because it kind of like a bad omen.
Everything went wrong that
Everything
night.
went wrong. It was lashing rain. I obviously said I tore the group up, thinking I was Bear Grylls, and obviously I wasn't. Although we nearly needed survival skills. If Tina had got me, she'd kill me. But we eventually got up there, and over to you, Tina, because this is like, you tell this story really well.
This was the one where when we were standing around in a circle, that one, Billy.
Yeah.
We were in, as you walk in, as far as I can remember. Now you can tell me what's right, or if I get some bits wrong. When you go in the door, it was the room to the left.
It was the room to the left and then straight up,
Yeah.
at the back.
And we were all standing around, and Wayne was standing in the hallway.
Black, dark, no torches.
Yeah,
you have to
black, dark.
remember,
Now, there's no street lights or anything up
Yeah.
there. So when you're up there at night, it's literally black, dark.
Yeah.
There's no electricity poles. There's no street lights.
No.
There's nothing running through. We had all of our equipment set up on the table. No, not on the table,
On the ground.
There's
Yeah.
no table. So we had it all set up on the ground, and we started to we had been doing call outs, and we
Yeah.
had been asking questions, and sometimes you can go up there and get no response at all. This particular night we had started getting some responses on our electrical equipment, which would be motion sensors and K2s,
Yeah.
and so we were getting a few, and then just everything kicked off.
It was a
So,
bang.
yeah, it was like a vibration on the
Yeah.
roof. It was like bang. All the equipment went mad, and as all the equipment went mad, people that were in the circle with us, one girl, she screamed because she said something whispered, "Get out," in her ear. Another guy bent over. He started getting violently sick.
Yeah.
And one of the team members who were in the hall, he came in and he said that a black shadow had gone past him and into the room that we were all in.
Yeah.
And everything just that night was
I know, and you
absolutely
have to.
chaotic.
The one part of the story, which is kind of the strange part, it happened sequentially. So Wayne, he saw the dark shadow first. Then the girl was closest to him. She obviously heard the get out. Then the guy beside her, he started. So it was like something was passing by, and all the K2s were going off one by one as if something was
It was
walking
mad.
past them. We had that another night, Jake, as well. Do you remember? We were all in the semicircle and we had K2s lined up in a straight row, probably left to right, north to south, whatever. And we asked something, could you walk past?
Oh,
And
God,
each
I
K2
remember
just lit
that.
up and stopped. Next
Yeah, I
K2,
remember that, yeah.
next. You were here that night, Jake, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
You can't you can't replay things like that.
Yeah.
So that night when you said, because just for the listeners, I wasn't there that night when you said you'd never go back.
That was that night.
That was
when
the night with the bang and the.
we went down. We actually went down, and Billy, just you reminded me there.
Yeah.
It was months before I got you to go back up.
Yeah.
It was a long time.
Because when we were leaving,
Never
I
go
just said,
back.
I'm never going back there.
And again, obviously, this is me being me. The obvious question is: it just out of, was it a safety concern? Was it a fear concern? Was it a just?
I
not
don't
had
think it was a
enough?
safety concern. I think I felt bad for the people that had really bad experiences, number one.
Right.
And
He's decided to leave on the spot. Am I right?
yeah, we
He's
had
just
on the
left.
spot.
We
that
never
was-
do that.
happened,
No.
Yeah, we never. There's only maybe 3 times in the 10 years I'm
Yeah.
doing.
And I don't even think we even said it out
Yeah.
loud. Everyone just kind of packed up and we kind of just walked out.
Everyone could have just
And
said that's
we
it.
kind of
That's
were
it.
quiet walking back down, and then I just turned to Tina and said, I'm not going back up there. It was very quiet going back and eerie. There was
So
no-
when we were going down the hill that night, is that the night that because there was another night there, we've had a couple of interesting nights
Yeah.
at the Hellfire Club, and it's hard to sort of pinpoint which night, so that's why it's handy having the other guys here as well to say,
Yeah.
no, that wasn't that night, that was another night,
Yeah.
which is cool.
So you said you'd never go back,
yeah.
and yeah, obviously how you have because I've
Oh,
been there,
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
there with you.
Yeah, I went back. Yeah.
A question: what drew you back to it?
He was scared of me.
Scared of Tina. She said, you're going. Okay.
I think like
I think it was obviously curiosity, and kind of the fear had abated by then, and I kind of went, no, I need to go up and see will that happen again? Can I get an answer?
that's what I want to. You see, like, I didn't want to obviously put words in your mouth, but the question I was going to ask you: did you want to experience it again, just to get?
I kind of did for myself as well, but one thing I was kind of 50-50 with was going up and doing an EVP session, but it's so I don't think I would do an EVP session there because there's so many factors with wild animals, the weather.
Just
There's always
explain
a
there
breeze.
what an EVP session is, just for people that are
Well, you have a digital recorder or an analog recorder, and you literally you press record and you call out, and it's kind of, some people akin it to a Ouija board. You're still calling out to if there's spirits or if there's something there, and if you play back through the white noise, sometimes you might get an anomaly. I'll always say it's an anomaly because you can't prove what it is, you can't prove what it isn't.
Yeah.
I can't say for definite what it is, but we have captured some really
Interesting.
things.
yeah.
Like last week's, 2 weeks ago, our podcast, we caught some interesting anomalies in Loftus Hall. A lot of stuff actually, but I don't think I've done an EVP session in the Hellfire Club. You'd really want to make sure that
There's too many
it's an absolute dead calm night, but again, like
animals.
and if it's just and the wind, like, there's always kind of a breeze going through that place,
Yeah.
so it's very hard to pick up something, but
The EVPs would be very sensitive to
Yeah.
noise, so
Yeah.
you
Like,
want
they pick up a
you
lot
want
of
to make sure
frequencies.
that it's silent.
and like dead silence.
So Billy, that's your answer, Tina. That night, why would you call an end to it?
I called an end to it because I actually didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
I was unsure of what was going to happen. That's a horrible thing. That
But
when you're out with people,
yeah,
just because the team, you take
you
responsibility.
care for them. Like.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly. Oh,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen. I was nervous.
We
So
just walked,
that's-
and again, we just kind of found ourselves walking out of the place. We're going.
There was
and then,
dust behind us.
Yeah, there was
ran.
dust behind us. We grabbed it. No, but honestly, we just kind
Be
of grabbed
modest.
everything, and like obviously calmly, we kind of just went right. We calmed everyone down, and we sat people down after it, made sure they were okay, and then we kind of went right. We just kind of went, and then halfway down, kind of it was very quiet, and people kind of started talking. And then
You
we
have
just
to
turned
remember what
Tina.
goes on up here, when, or up there when we're not there. I have found, like we've walked in where there's been Ouija boards and pillows on the ground, and people have left the Ouija board and the pillows. Like we've witnessed that. So, like we know that things go on up there when we're not there. So you can imagine the energy.
There's an
Yeah, there's-
energy in that
Yes.
place, but it's like it's a weird. Like I'm not sensitive or anything like that. I know sometimes you might think I am.
I
Tina.
think you are, yeah.
Yeah, but I just think there's something up. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it up there. There's something. It's the orientation of the building as well. Okay, the floor again is uneven inside, and it can disorientate you and stuff like that. But even going past that, because we would always do a base test at a location, so we kind of know how you feel in certain places. Obviously, we know there's no electricity going up there, so that there's nothing going
Real
to affect
vibe.
you. There's no infrasound because there's no traffic going past, so there's nothing going to affect you with that and stuff like that. There's no noise pollution as such. Well, there is with wild animals and kind of wind, and that's why I wouldn't do it. The EVP sessions there, it's out in the open.
See, the thing as well, it's probably is the right word to use, is the security thing. Like when we were talking about Loftus Hall, I think you all might agree with me. If you don't, obviously throw it out there, but in Loftus was like a controlled,
You
your
have walls around you and a
Exactly.
door that's shut
Security,
and it's locked.
24-hour security.
Whereas up there, anyone can walk in
Yeah,
at any given moment. You
And
know
they
what I mean?
have.
And quick question as well: when's the first time you were up there, Jake?
Well, geez, it would have been years. Again, I was with you the night that you got us all lost on the straight walk.
We're gonna keep
On
going
the
over
straight
that.
walk.
Jake, do you want a bit of salt? Just rub it into his
No,
wound there.
When was that? That was years ago.
Years
I
ago,
think there was an
Jake.
incident, Jake, when you were there as well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
you wanna
well,
tell
since we're
that?
talking about the security aspect of
Yeah.
it, one of the nights I was there, there was we talked about the paranormal side of it, and then we can also discuss the side of it where anybody can just walk in.
And they have.
And we were up there one night. It was probably 1:30 in the morning, and we were up there with another paranormal group, and there was a few of us. I think it was just you, Tina, was there out of all of us, was it?
I was there as well.
Oh,
that
were you
night.
there?
Yeah, I was there.
wasn't.
that night.
Have
No,
I ever
Chris
been
was
to the
there.
Hellfire Club?
Yeah, there's Chris's viewpoint. Well, you've been as far as there.
Every time you've been
Chris,
there, you haven't been. I
we
wasn't there.
walk up and Chris kind of, Tina, just quick, what happens to Chris when we're going up?
Halfway up, he just leans over and looks down at the view, and God, it's gorgeous up here. He gets halfway up.
Pretty
Yeah,
steep
that's-
hill. Like
we just
Thank you,
realised
Jake.
it's a pretty
Yeah.
steep
Thank
hill.
you, Jake.
it's a steep hill. We realised he doesn't give a shite about the view.
No, Billy's way was a bit more steady, kind of across and across. And it wasn't straight up.
Zigzag.
So,
It was,
Mine
I
tree
thought
is-
been
a
alright,
pentagon kind of shape.
but
going up.
Yeah, sorry, Jake. That was we kind of deviated
Sorry,
a little
Jake,
bit there.
about that.
no. Yeah, this night we were up here anyway, and we were all just having a little break, having a sandwich or a pack of crisps, and a random guy just walked into the room, and we all said, "Oh, does anyone recognise him? Is he with us?" To where Tina said, Yeah, he is, and we all kind of.
He's one of us, I said.
So we all said, right, I don't think he is. So
There's
he
20
walked
in the group
out.
and he was 21 for some reason.
So he looked at all of us and he walked out, and one of the guys that was with us followed him out of the front and asked him, you know, what he was doing, and he said he was meeting some friends from online. And this guy, he had like a Tesco bag or whatever, a Super Value bag, and the guy that was with us looked in his bag, and there was a big knife, a big meat cleaver,
Oh God.
and loads of pieces of paper and just random stuff. So he said he got sent on his way. Anyway, our guy came back in and said, "That's a bit weird. We should probably head on." You know, it's. So we all packed up and started heading down. This was before all the trees were cut down on the way down, so it was just dense forest on either side. And the whole way down, we could just hear whistles from the
Either
woods
side.
on either side, like they were almost like they were communicating with each
Yeah,
other. There was
whispering.
definitely multiple people
Yeah.
all whistling to each other from either side as we walked down. But yeah, we made it down okay, I suppose. And
Well,
that's
we're here.
kinda
That
just-
was freaky, though,
That
wasn't
was.
it, Jake?
yeah, well, that's the kind of the realistic side of it, where you can come across anybody up
Yeah.
there.
It
You
just
know?
kind of brings it home that
Yeah.
it's kind of a vulnerable location.
It's
Oh,
very
it is,
vulnerable
yeah.
because
You
no
know
one's
what I
going
mean?
to hear you scream.
It's very well known.
Chris.
Yeah.
So let me ask the three of us here, what do you think of the Hellfire Club as regards? I know that you read online and you can read the lore, let's
Yeah.
say, of it. We know the devil wasn't there. You know, Chris is looking very shocked.
Chris is raging.
Jake is looking there too. But let's say we know a lot of the lore that's going on. So this would have been known very well online as well, though,
Oh, yeah,
as a
yeah.
gentleman's meeting, you know,
Like, and
doing, as you said.
Well, I say, me and Chris went up and it was very, very gentlemanly, wasn't it, Chris?
I say.
And Jake.
where did that voice come
With our cravats.
Chardonnay. But,
Billy was a servant back then. He wasn't a gentleman. Sorry, Billy.
but no, you're right. Like, there
You're
is-
all right, sir.
like you're right. Like apparently,
Yeah.
all these kind of things were going on up there. And what do I think of the actual? Do you mean the actual building itself, or like?
What do you think went on up there? Do you think, because I know Jake has one view and I know I've another view, and
Yeah.
then, you know,
Like if
do you
so,
believe?
Jeez, jeez, stop! We've been put on the spot.
Hmm.
Listen, you never like that, Chris.
Let me. I'll say this. Now, this is not a politician's answer, no, by the way. It is. It's definitely a location where you could get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
location, if that kind of stuff was going on up there, you wouldn't be recording what's going on. Because I think, wasn't it yourself, Jake, and it sounds, I kind of seen that as well, where there's no official thing saying that the Hellfire Club themselves were actually there.
Yeah.
But would you be recording if you
That
were
you
there,
were there.
doing
Yeah.
that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and with that, they weren't meant to be the best of people. Like, I think, there's different stories of how the building got burnt down, which we'll talk about in another couple of minutes. But to answer the question, it is a perfect location to get away with some.
There are
And why
are
would you
Hellfire
record
clubs
it?
in other locations as well. There's a couple in England, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's the Hellfire Caves, isn't there?
Hellfire
Yeah, Hellfire
Caves.
Caves and Hellfire Club in Lincolnshire. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, like, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but
But they
I
are
know.
around.
Yeah, there are a couple.
And they're all
in
linked.
England. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all linked because I believe the people who started the Hellfire Club, the gentry in England, they had to have 3 criteria before they could join the Hellfire Club.
You had
Alright.
said this,
They had
yeah.
to travel to Italy, that's a definite. Obviously, they had to drink a lot, and I can't think of the third one.
We need to Google that.
Had to be a gentleman.
Yeah, and to be a
And to be a
gentleman.
gentleman.
Or a servant.
Yeah. But no, that's interesting though that you
Yeah.
had to actually go to Italy.
Yeah.
Because
And I don't know why Italy. I genuinely don't know, but I think it was because the Roman Catholic Church.
all right.
Maybe it was because of that. And I know they did mock
Yeah.
the Catholicism in the Hellfire Club. They used to say, they used to make mockeries of mass and stuff like that. I read about that as well.
See, that's what
You had to go right down a rabbit hole looking
Yeah,
into all that.
actually,
wouldn't
you?
you?
Yeah,
abs-
it's-
without a
yeah.
doubt.
That'd be a hole,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, that's what well, again, I've never actually partaken, but Black Mass is like that. It's the counter opposite of what.
And the building is so, like, the bricks are black, like, as well. Like, it's so ominous on the landscape.
Yeah.
Like it's when you come up to it, it looks like a church, an old chapel or something.
That's
has
actually what
Actually-
it does.
actually,
It has
yeah.
that pointy roof, and it does have that kind of
I
feel
say
to
that,
it.
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tina, seems that you asked the question, and then we'll get to Jake. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think they're up to all sorts up there. No, I really do. No, I do believe that there was things that went on up there. There was illegal things, and I mean, I always remember that story of the father who went looking for his daughter. She had gone missing, and he went up to ask the guys in the hunting lodge, did they see the daughter? And seemingly, when he went into the house, he found the body of the daughter.
Right.
I'm trying to think. They had put her into a wheel, set the wheel on fire,
Oh, barrel.
and set the barrel on fire, and then rolled her down the hill.
And it's a steep hill, like
And
you can
steep
imagine
hill,
that happening.
Yeah, she was
yeah.
only 7 or 8 years old, and then they brought her back up, and I think they had her body in there, and the father went in, and this is the story. The father went in, and when he came out, his hair had turned grey, and he never spoke again. But I know that's one of the lores. But what I always believe is, wherever all these lores are, there has to be a grain of truth.
some
There
has to
has
be
to be.
something.
For definite things went on
The
up
whole
there.
smoke.
I think there
smoke
was
of fire.
an exorcism performed up there as well.
Yes.
Apparently, there was
Yes.
an exorcism performed.
So that's one of the stories as well, that they were sacrificing. Like again, when Noah said the black cat was a mascot, and maybe they had a few of them, I don't know. But one of the stories is that they were doing a fat sacrifice or some form of sacrificial ceremony, and a priest got word of it or something like that, and went up and done a kind of form of an exorcism and some manifestation. The cat was dead, and some kind of manifestation came out of the cat or something like that. Apparently.
I did hear that story.
Now again, I know I said the cat could have been alive or whatever it is, but yeah. Jake, not leaving you out of this question.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
No, I do love the facts about it as well. I've done a lot of reading and all the Dublin archives about who owned the building, who leased it, who lived there. Like you do have to remember it was in the 1700s, you know.
Yeah.
So how many things were recorded for definite? Like I know it's a fact that they met in a tavern in Dublin, and it's alleged that they did go up to Hellfire Club as well
Yeah.
to meet. But yeah, I agree with Tina, as she said. If it is lore, if it is rumored, there has to be some.
Grain
Like
of truth.
where did it come from? Like that,
Yeah.
I don't think somebody just made it up out of nowhere. I definitely do think something went on up there. Whether it was, we'll never know. Obviously,
Oh, of
it was
course.
a few hundred years ago. But
And like, do you think yourself something went on up there?
I couldn't say 100. I wouldn't say 100% that it did, but in that sense, like in the Hellfire Club sense, but I believe something went on.
Yeah.
And in the years after the Hellfire Club, in more recent times, I know a lot of occult activity did go on
Yeah.
up there
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
attracted a lot.
Do you
It's
know, I know somebody who was going up there late one night, and they came across people, around 8 or 10 people with gowns on
Oh,
at
really?
the Hellfire Club, yeah.
All right.
And seemingly, apparently, we have to keep saying
Apparently.
they have meetings up there for different organisations
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely an interesting look.
Yeah, and the whole woods, and even like obviously there was Neolithic burial site underneath that originally.
Yeah.
So
You
the
have to
whole
remember all
area
that.
has like layers upon layers of history. So people would have been going up there for thousands of years, not just since the 1700s. But then you have Massey's Woods,
Oh, yeah.
and that place gives me the heebies.
Explain where Massey's Woods is.
That is on the
just
road. That's when you were coming up towards the car park.
Of the Hellfire.
Yeah, to the Hellfire. There's a little green gate, and you'd miss it if you weren't looking for it. And you stop, you pull in anyway to wherever you can park. 'Cause it's quite narrow,
Yeah, it is.
so you're probably better off actually going up to the car park. But even going back down there, it's a bit of a walk down. But but Massey's Woods, that woods, I think is the only woods that, besides the wood behind the Hellfire Club, for different reasons, that you kind of makes your hair and the back of your neck
Yeah.
stand up.
But sure, that's
You always feel like you're being watched or something. It's
Yeah.
weird place.
and it's sure the Stewart's house is down there as well. Well, not in the wood, but it's down to Bombadil.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
that's always connected
yeah.
with the Hellfire.
And there's a black cat apparently connected to that house as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently, we just call this episode apparently, will we? Hellfire
The
apparently.
apparently podcast.
Apparently podcast. But no, to say after the building burnt down, that's where they moved to. They had to start congregating and having their meetings down there. And just really quickly, guys, the two stories associated with that was that the reason the building was burnt down is because that building was leased out to the Hellfire Club, and when they wanted to release it again, they said that Connolly's son refused to do it, so they burnt it down.
Okay.
That was one of them. And then
Interesting.
another story is that during one of the Black Masses, a footman, for want of a better word, that's what the word I found online, spilled a drink on Burnchapel Whaley's coat, and obviously he didn't take too kindly to that, and he poured brandy over this gentleman and set him on fire.
Lovely
Yeah,
man.
well, what you were saying about the black masses and stuff, even as Jake said, if it happened in the tavern, I think since then, black masses or something has definitely been going on up there. And I don't think there's an apparently about that because, as
No,
you say,
definitely not.
there's been
We
some
have
weird,
found.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we found stuff up there.
Sure, but I mean, years ago, dead birds, as in like on
Dissected,
stones,
yeah.
yes, and bashed in, and like
Yeah.
different things have been done. That could be kids messing.
Well, the
But you're-
reputation
but
like,
you're-
will
yeah.
attract that anyway.
But you're going to, I think it's fair to say, like anywhere like that, you're going to get the what's the word I'm looking for?
Occultists, the hardcore.
That, but you're going to get the kind of let's do it for a dare scenario,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
So it's to be aware of that. But yeah, Massey's Woods is
Yeah,
an
that
interesting-
whole area, yeah.
And the Black Cat with the Stewart's house,
Yeah.
that was an association with that as well.
He went around, the guy who owned that back in the day. Tell us about him. He went around and collected exotic animals, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Didn't he? He was known for that. But we'd have to do a bit more Googling because
yeah.
we'd only sort of. That came up in conversation just before this episode was going out, so we'd have to look into that a bit more. But
What
that
was it? Billy used a good word, curiosities.
Curiosities,
Yes.
Curiosities.
Yeah. From all over the world.
But apparently during the renovations of that as well, they actually found a small skeleton in buried in a part of that building as well.
Okay.
Which
Interesting.
is very similar to what other story?
Loftus Hall.
There you go.
And don't talk to me about black cats, by the way. I have a very funny story in a couple of podcasts about a
that
black
was
cat.
so funny, but we
We'll
have to
get
hope.
to that, yeah.
But if
We'll,
that's
we'll bite our tongue with that one
if
for
people
now.
still like listening to us.
That was
But,
so funny.
but no, it's, the whole location up there is very interesting, and yeah, there's something about a painting or something in that house. If you turn it upside again, you probably think we did concentrate on just the Hellfire Club, but we have to talk about
Well,
the
these are
Hellfire
all
I think
connected.
it's all connected. It's like you start at Massey's Woods, then you go to that house,
Yeah.
then you go to Chris's viewpoint, and then you're
And
on.
then you go to the Hellfire.
Yeah, you could really, you could make a day out of it.
You could.
Massey's
Without
Woods
doubt.
is massive,
Yeah,
and there is ruins of an old house in there as well that you can
Yeah.
The
explore.
whole
yeah.
foundation,
You brought
it's
me to
mad.
you brought me down to that with it years and years ago. Actually, I think that was probably about 10 years ago. Before Loftus Hall, I think I might have been there, and that
time.
really freaked me out. The
Oh,
ruins.
you were up in Massey's before Loftus, were you?
Yeah,
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Were you up at the Hellfire before Loftus?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Did you know the stories?
I did. I didn't know the history.
But you knew the
I knew
legends.
the
maybe.
legends and stuff like that.
Oh, very cool.
I obviously the history kind of comes after you go
Yeah.
up and you experience it. You kind of take an interest in it, and I kind of read about it a bit then and stuff like that. Obviously, because you need to know a bit about the kind of what maybe, as Jake said earlier, and Tina, there's obviously some type of truth behind.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's no written documents about anything up there.
Yeah.
Like obviously the
Yeah, like when I'm researching something, I'll look for as many facts as I can, but I do take into account the lore and the apparentlys,
yeah.
because I do believe that they weren't just pulled out of thin air, that they were.
I think anything,
It's
yeah.
not stories to scare people away from going up there
There's
because
two sides to it. There's facts which are documented fully, and there is the what would you call it?
The lore, the history, or the folklore.
Ireland is one of the biggest places for stories being passed down through generations.
Well, it is the home of Easound Halloween as well, so which we're quite proud of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we'll go into that
could
one
be an
as well.
episode. Let's do an episode on that near the time.
What was our favourite time up there, Chris? You'd have to. I'll give you the pleasure.
No, Tina, this is your introduction, but I do know who you're going to introduce, and it was definitely a memorable night. But you're definitely introducing this one.
Elton and Corey.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. So we got an email to the team, and it was from an American girl, and she said about 2 American guys coming over, and would we bring them up to the Hellfire? And I was thinking,
we get a lot of
we
those
do,
emails.
yeah. We try to answer as much as we can. This one, I was just like, yeah, okay, Chris, will we go up? And he's like, yeah, come on. Chris is always yes, which is brilliant.
Give us a $5, Chris.
Yeah, no.
All money.
So I had said, I got back onto her and she said Elton and Corey, but she said, what's his name? Elton. It was the names.
Not many people would know Elton and Corey. It's the overnight.
You say it.
Overnight on YouTube. Just the YouTube channel.
And it's huge, isn't it, guys?
Oh yeah, a few million subscribers.
Yeah, not that. Actually, really nice guys. Really nice guys.
So we met them at the car, and they came with all this work, all this cameras and sound gear and everything. We were like, Jesus. And it was only afterwards I found out that they're quite well known. I hadn't, even when we were up there, we didn't know. There was 4 of them, wasn't there?
4 of us. So there was 2 cameramen and 2
then
guys.
the 2 of them.
And I would be very honest and I'll hold my hand up, I did not know who they were either.
I didn't know.
No.
But they were absolutely souls of the earth, genuine, no crap with them, no faking. We done a full night up there with them, and they didn't fake anything. And we had, now you can go to the overnight channel, isn't that what it is? Yeah. And you can look at their episode.
If you look up Hellfire Club on YouTube, it will come up.
It will come up, yeah. And that was myself and Chris and the lads, and it was absolutely a fantastic night. So have a look, see what happens. I'll tell you, it was an active night, and there was nothing. They're just so genuine. No. If nothing happened, we would have walked away.
I'm not sure about you guys, but if I was ever around people that were faking it,
you'd have to walk away.
I'd walk away.
I wouldn't hold back from saying it.
No, and that's one thing that we are very prevalent about on this team.
Yeah,
we won't fake stuff. With if there's other people around that are doing it, just let them have their moment and don't go near them again.
One thing about these 2 guys, and of course the gentlemen that were with them, what you seen on camera was what happened.
Oh God!
There was no kind of preempting or anything at all like that.
There was nothing staged or wrote. They had no script, but they were so funny.
That's one thing for sure. They were definitely funny, and I think that's as well a very good thing to highlight. Not to obviously you have to be professional in such a sense.
Don't take everything serious.
No, you have to have laugh as well. You have to enjoy, because your personality is part of what you do.
That's one thing about how we have gelled over the years.
Because we just laugh at each other constantly.
It's a good way to, I think, bring out, as you said, Billy, personalities. And
everyone would be miserable if
but
you were
it lets off steam as well.
Serious and trying to be all professional.
And you can. There's a time.
There's a time for being professional, and we will do it.
We find it hard.
We find it hard.
No, Jesus, no. There's times,
like this.
When Chris isn't around, we're very professional.
Beg your pardon? She's going to tell you.
Sorry.
Is microphone on? Billy, do you know what I think?
Mute Billy.
But no, you're, to be honest, dead right. And there is a time and a place for everything, and I think respect plays a massive role in all this. Now, we're not getting into the whole. Well, me personally, I'm not going to get into the whole kind of lecture on it, but there is a time and place to have a laugh and a time and place to be respectful. That's the way to look at it.
We do respect every location we go to, and no matter where it is.
And when we had to call a night up in the Hellfire, we called a night.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, it just happened.
We did.
Because you have to look. The safety of the team and anyone who's with the team is first. That's, no matter what happens, that's first. Yeah. So we don't even think about that. That's why that night we kind of just walked out. We didn't even think about it.
So
safety is first,
without a doubt.
And then obviously we kind of analysed then what happened thereafter, and we can break it down and kind of think about it more kind of analytically.
And when you think, I just hear thinking in my head, what's the Hellfire famous for? And you could say, well, it's famous for, you know, the devil, and it's famous for the structure, and it's not, come on, get it. It's famous for the raves.
Yeah.
Up there. I mean, we can't.
Yeah.
It's famous for the raves, and every post we put up
There's a
on
rave.
Facebook, there's the lads coming about the raves, you know,
Yeah.
so we have to acknowledge the
Go on,
raves up
go
there
onto
as well.
YouTube and look up rave at the Hellfire Club.
Is it
We
good,
have
is
to.
it?
Oh, brilliant video.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
Really?
the
They
raves.
have full DJ setups and lights and
And you
there's
go-
videos where everyone's wearing big trench coats and carrying around baseball bats and
The whole
weird
thing.
crowds.
And
but
then we go up another night, and it's like you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what's really funny? Do you remember the night I thought I had my first paranormal experience?
Oh,
You-
yeah.
Do you remember
that
this?
was actually genius. Yeah. May I? Can I tell
got
you a story?
tipped. Yeah,
We were standing
far
there.
away.
Geez, how many years ago is that now? That's 5 years ago, 6.
Yeah, 6.
We were standing there, and it was dark.
I
And,
really thought this wasn't. I got my.
we were standing there just chatting like we are now. It was in one of the doorways on the bottom floor.
And
Whatever,
Black Tar.
at the right hand side as you're facing the Hellfire Club. And we're just chatting away, and next minute Tina lets a massive scream over. And we were all like, what? What's happened? She goes, oh my God, someone's after touching my arm. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we were like, oh really? The torches went on and all this kind of stuff. And we're looking around. Next minute, what did we see? A bat.
Oh, yeah.
All disorientated, hadn't bashed into me. But I felt it. It was real. I was like, something's after touching me. Like, that was real. It was a real bat.
We shouldn't have said it wasn't. You know, we should have said,
Yeah.
all right.
Give
But that's
me
happened a few
moments.
times, because you had the funny experience you told in the last podcast as well, when you were on the blow up mattress with
bed.
Wayne. She thought she was levitating. Like, Tina has
always
some
me.
great screams when something happens.
Yeah, they call me the screamer.
I tell you, levitation mightn't be a bad skill to get up that hill though.
You
It
could
would be
start.
great. Yeah, actually.
You might be able to teach the team of how to do that, you know what I mean? But no, that was good. But I think as well, it's just the darkness that's up there and all that kind of thing. Like at the end of the day, your mind can sometimes start playing tricks on you as well, you know, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
But that's what we were saying, to go from the rave to the Black Tar.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable
But,
that they're the
but
same
even when you go
place.
up there in the daytime, like we have been up there in daylight, and it's still a very eerie experience sometimes, especially if there's only 2 or 3 people there. But again, the views are spectacular. Like, guys, if anyone hasn't been up there, don't go up alone. Go up in a good group. But it is spectacular up there.
You can go up there some days when it's absolutely packed.
Yeah.
People have
Oh
big
yeah, and
crowds.
like as Jake told earlier, like we were up there one night and Tina thought like that he's in the group, but somebody just approached from the woods and they weren't even with us.
Well, that's but
Tina's
we
health and
welcome
safety on
everybody.
the team.
We welcome everybody. That's what we do. We welcome people, you know, with open arms onto this team.
When you just love to go over to some people that are having a picnic, you know, and just go over, do you realise what's meant to have happened here? And just go into the whole like dark history.
Yeah.
and then the family just calls the guards and Chris gets arrested.
But
Again.
but what a,
Again, yeah.
but what a,
Again.
Chris, you only have one more strike and then you're locked up.
He's got his verbal warning.
need to be
He's had his
careful,
written
Chris.
warning.
but be so worthwhile. Just,
Yeah,
But we want a metal concert up there, like, because we're all metalheads.
Oh,
So
absolutely. So instead of raves, the next we call it. No,
we like something like Vacuum, but we'd have our own one.
we could call it Hellfest, but that's already
That's already,
yeah. So we'll have to
But,
think of something else.
Original, Chris. Come on, something original.
That's already a festival.
Chris's Metal Point or something, I don't know.
We're coming up towards the 45-minute mark now, so
Brilliant. So,
yeah.
Tina, so what are your final closing thoughts on tonight's discussion on the
My
Hellfire Club?
short and simple is when are we going back?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same.
Literally.
When will we go back?
Yeah.
And Chris?
That's a good point to make, actually. When are we going back? Because what we could do is maybe make a 2-3 minute little video and put it up on the page when we release.
YouTube.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever.
YouTube.
Do a little video for people that
Yeah.
have never been there.
Yeah.
We will,
Just
yeah,
to show them what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, the Hellfire Club is definitely an interesting building, without a doubt. And one thing that'll stick in my mind, like I've never personally experienced anything or felt anything, but it was the cat ball. Remember with the overnight crew
That
when
was
the
with
cat ball
Elton and
moved.
Corey, yeah. That
and
couldn't have moved.
yeah, and like, it's just
mad.
one thing that stuck with me, and a couple of little things like what you were saying, Billy, about the K2s and stuff like that. Now, listen, for people that are listening or haven't seen the videos, they could say it's this, and that. Which, listen, anyone can do that, but it's just a couple of little question marks.
Yeah, they're question
But
marks.
I've
We're
never-
not saying it's definite.
Yeah, like I've never left them going, oh my god, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But no, listen, it's an interesting spot, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
Yeah, Jake?
Yeah, I agree with Chris. I've never had any serious things happening to me up there, but investigators and people who I would respect their opinions have. So
Yeah.
Very good.
I would take that into account, definitely. Billy?
So we're
Yeah, and again, what Tina said earlier, and it's just the experience of the place, and like to say that you've been to the Hellfire Club,
Yeah.
because as Jake said, it's just such a history to that place, and folklore, which would be kind of, I would be more on the folklore side to the history. Now the history obviously is truth and it's facts, etc., and it's the most important part of it, but it's the folklore that draws me, and the mystery of what went on, and the mystery of what experience people have had up there, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely a place that I would definitely go back to, and I hope to go back soon, guys.
brilliant, and we're going to sign off on that note. So remember, go back and listen to our episode 1 for Loftus Hall. So signing off from Tina.
Billy
Chris,
And Jake?
and Chris, what are you going to say, Chris?
stay spooky.
Take care, guys.
You have been listening to Paranormal Researchers Ireland podcast. All sound effects were sourced in Epidemic Sound app with thanks to SFX producer. Intro and outro music, Nothing to be Scared of by Kakuru, and main theme background music 669X by Lennon Hutton. Also rave sample Ironclad by Hasten, and metal sample Nosebleed section by Sightless and Shadow used in podcast chat is also used with full subscription and permission from the Epidemic Sound app. PRI podcast recorded by Jake and mixed by Bill using Adobe Audition. We hope you enjoyed our podcast, so why not join us for our very next supernatural podcast coming very soon.